Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Radha Madhava ki jai, Bhaktaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna to devotees who sit a million miles away and online viewers. So today we read wir brauchen ein Übersetzer for our dear Kishori Kund. You have to go. Amrita Maske, Adrian, kannst du übersetzen? Oder ist es ein bisschen zu schwer am Anfang? Kannst du übersetzen from English to Deutsch? Nee, oder? Aber erstmal hast du die Srimad Bhagavatam Kanto, der Kanto. Sorry, danke. Okay, super. So, we are reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Status Quo, chapter 19? Chapter 28. Chapter 28, Kapila's instruction on devotional service, text number 19. Okay. Stitam vrajantam ashinam, Shinam shayanam vakuhashayam, Prekshaniye hitam dayet, Prekshaniye hitam dayet, Juda bhavana cetasa, Stitinam prajantam ashinam, Stihitam prajan ashinam, Shayanam vakuhashayam, Prekshinaye hitam dayech, Prekshaniye hitam priyaye, Juda bhavana cetasa, Juda bhavana cetasa. Please. Ladies? Stitam vretantam ashinam, Shayanam kakuhashayam. Would you mind, ladies, just to move? You can say we Rosemary, but Namasharana Damayanti here. Because I don't like to not look at people when I speak, but otherwise I'm just, often I see on YouTube, I'm just like facing this direction. So, okay, so we do word by word now, okay? Shtitam, standing. Vrajantam, moving. Ashinam, sitting. Shayanam, lying down. Va, or. Guha ashayam, guha ash. The Lord dwelling in the heart. The Lord dwelling in the heart. Prekshaniya, beautiful. Ihitam, pastimes. Dayayet, he should visualize. Sudabhavana, pure. Cetasa, by the mind. So translation by Srila Prabhupada's beautiful verse. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down, or sitting within him, for the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Purport. The process of meditating on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself and the process of chanting the glories and pastimes of the Lord are the same. The only difference is that hearing and fixing the mind on the pastimes of the Lord is easier than visualizing the form of the Lord within one's heart, because as soon as one begins to think of the Lord, especially in this age, the mind becomes disturbed. And due to so much agitation, the process of seeing the Lord within the mind is interrupted. However, I added that word, by the way. Okay. When there is sound, vibrated, praising the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, however, that came here, one is forced to hear. That hearing process enters into the mind, and the practice of yoga is automatically performed. For example, even a child can hear and derive the benefit of meditating on the pastimes of the Lord simply by listening to the reading from the Bhagavatam that describes the Lord as he is going to the pasturing ground with his cows and friends. Hearing includes applying the mind. In this age of Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has recommended that one should always engage in chanting and hearing Bhagavad Gita. The Lord also says that the Mahatmas or great souls always engage in the process of chanting the glories of the Lord, and just by hearing others derive the same benefit. Yoga necessitates meditation on the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, whether he is standing, moving, lying down, etc. The translation again. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down, or sitting within him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprastham Staptanyena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatya Sapadandikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radhikada Shri Vasakti Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, an apology. I'm a little sick. I have something with my glands. I remember we have a doctor here. Maybe she can check. But I feel a little bit like I'm in puberty. Yeah? The voice is going up and down. So excuse me for that. Sometimes we have a plan of what we want to do, but the body or the Lord has a different arrangement. We wanted to do a meditation today, but let's see if the voice is suitable. Okay? So here we have a beautiful verse that we should visualize the Lord standing, moving, lying down, or sitting within us. For the pastimes of the Lord are very beautiful. I listened to a lecture yesterday by Srila Prabhupada on this verse. Very interesting, because it's not saying that we need to go into a cave. This idea, as written in this translation, is we sit down to meditate, but the mind is disturbed in so many directions. But what does help is hearing, in particular hearing the pastimes of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada said something like, wherever we are, we could be on the street, we can think of the Lord. Namasharanya, tomorrow she's on the plane to England, we can think of the Lord. Hopefully she'll think of Lord Nrsingadev. But wherever we are, in whatever possibility, there is a chance for us to meditate upon the Lord. I also thought it's very special now because Kartik has just begun. I always feel a little bit like it takes a little bit of time to warm up again. Okay, Kartik, okay, extra spiritual endeavor, activities, what's going on. And then what happens when you want to meditate or think of the Lord? I hope I'm not the only one. I see it, I've heard it from a few people. Something comes up. I love this book just for its title. Can anyone read it from here? Can you read it from there? Say it out loud. Obstacles on the path of devotional service. So, this is where we begin. For those who don't know, I normally do an interactive class. It's normally for ladies, but it's for anybody who comes. Oh, we have prearranged by Priya Radha. So the topic is that we have the Lord. The Lord is here. But some things come up along the way that distract us from our meditation on the Lord. And sometimes to bring these obstacles into our consciousness can help. So bear with me. Sometimes it's not so nice to get the rubbish out of the bin, so to say. But it's important sometimes just to bring it to the surface. I will begin. One major obstacle that we face as devotees. I'm tired. Want to sleep. Couldn't sleep last night. Or 5 hours wasn't enough. 9 hours wasn't enough. Now it's autumn and I want to hibernate. So sleeping. So And that's hard. It was a nice example last week. My husband Ramananda Gopal gave a class, and then Kripasindhu was there, and he don't, oh, you're tired. He's like, I'm very tired. But somehow, in expressing that, it helped him to think, okay, I know I'm tired, but let that not be the central point. Let me then make an endeavor. So, please have a think for a moment or two. What is an obstacle? What stops you sometimes? It can be something small or big on your path. I wrote another one. I'm not this right now, but sometimes I'm hungry. You know, when's it gonna stop? When's prasadam? Or even you're speaking to someone and your stomach rumbles. Are you hungry? No, I'm not hungry. This is my stomach. Hari, can you think of an example of something that stops you? You are, like a few of us, a devotee child, somewhere along the way. One thing for me growing up in the movement is sort of this complacency. Do we understand the word? What's complacency in German? It's sort of like, oh yeah, so good, oh, it's nice. Oh yeah, Krishna stuff, yeah, nice devotees. Oh, I'll read today, tomorrow. It's like, yeah, Krishna's everywhere, oh? Like this is complacency, sort of complacency. I'll give you one more example before I hand it over. Krishna Kshetra Swami spoke about this word becoming de-sensitized. So in devotional life, when it stops bothering you, nothing really sort of matters. It's sort of, we're not really connected anymore. We're a little bit like away from the point, because we've heard it many times. So like it's not relevant or like this. So this sort of point of desensitizing. Okay, so please help me out now. Oh, I put another one in because I'm ill. You know, the body is not really cooperating, cannot speak, cannot think, you know, it's a little bit cloudy and sensitized. Wait, because online nobody can hear and then they...
And another point is when one has like many activities to do which are not necessarily connected to like direct service to the Lord. I mean, in the end, like all to-dos we can transform into service to the Lord, but one does not always think about this point.
Ich habe noch eins. Hari is ganz fleißig here. Hari is very well prepared here. So that could have been distraction, no microphone. So you stopped.
Is also when one sits in a temple room or tries to meditate, and so many other devotees are there. One is just distracted by looking and
looking and talking,
and observing what all the others do.
All the beautiful devotees. Yeah, very nice. Can I add the Krishna conscious groups on Facebook? So beautiful and amazing, but sometimes such a distraction to what maybe one wanted to achieve. I have two microphones, so. But you can nominate someone to speak. Amrita, give the microphone to somebody. Give it to the doctor. So what distracts you sometimes?
I think laziness. Sometimes I will do something simple for Krishna. I will cook something very simple. Anyway, Krishna will accept instead to do more effort for Krishna.
Yes, yeah, that endeavor. Very nice. Damayanti? Namashana. Something random. Like, Rosemary, there's something that stops you sometimes. Puff. Because of the online viewers.
We already had the point of having too much to do, but I want to add one point. Work in a job which is highly concentrated and you forget everything, you have to concentrate on the job.
Okay, like being a doctor, like a surgeon, or being like this.
Yes.
Job requiring focus. Yeah.
I have another one.
Yes, thank you.
Material desires.
Oh,
I want to develop this, so I want to reach that, and we want to enjoy. I mean, we want to be devotees, but at the same moment, we want to enjoy other things, and then it's difficult to. We cannot do both. No,
material desires is a huge one, no?
Yeah.
Adrian, you put your hand up. Sorry, I call you Adrian. I'm from England.
Yeah, it's okay.
Adrian becomes Adrian.
Adrian. Another obstacle is internet.
Internet.
Because it's
I
so
was
fascinating.
Say it because I'm a bit older, but internet. Oh, internet.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, and chatting with people in WhatsApp. But
It's a view of. It's true. 10 years ago, I came to live in the temple, and most of us didn't have a smartphone. So you didn't phone anybody because most of your relatives are anywhere in a different country. So you don't. So you just. We didn't have that as a distraction. And also, I think 10 years ago there wasn't even broadband here, although it was already worldwide because we're a little country state. So I don't know if I can sit or whether I will be bashed with the board. I go through all these points because they're very important. So we began with sleepy. Being sleepy. It's really difficult because it is a time of the year when most people will feel more tired than usual. Is it me, or does the microphone have fun with me today? Nice. Oops. It's a distraction of modern technology. Yeah, so there's sleepiness. Okay, so it's we're tired. What do we do? Because devotees are perpetually tired. Somebody once came to give a lecture, and there was a little book written on it of how unfortunately devotees had not paid heed to their sleepiness and had major accidents, and other devotees had passed away. And we've also had small examples here where the devotee somehow didn't see, but like a few years ago, it was quite a big accident with one of the brahmacharis where they weren't doing anything wrong, meaning they were engaged in devotional service, but the sleepiness came in. So it's just this, this element to be aware, and where possible, it's not always possible, but where possible to take the extra rest, right? Then, what else came up? I wanted to talk about Amrita's point here, too much to do, and it's not connected directly with being here. I had this problem. Of course, Amrita faced a problem because she's in management. But many... You're very nice. I would laugh at such a thing. Okay, so what do you do? Okay, Namasharanya also. She has to study, she has this, maybe she has some homework, and then she also has to make a garland. So I've always do say, okay, come, concentrate on your garland. You're making this for the Lord. And she's like, ooh, but I have a test tomorrow, and I have to memorize what's happening. So it's like a double, what to do. Once I had to, what was nice, I was studying in Bhakti Shastri, and none of the ladies offered to make the garlands. So I was told I had to make garlands because we had a test the next morning. I was like, okay, right. Shushapanishad, I'll have all my test papers there, and I'll make the garland while I revise. And Krishna was kind. I think I got the best marks for this test. So it was like determined. Okay, so this is this point. And with this point, I struggled for maybe 8 years on this. Too much to do. So you actually have service. Your service is actually directly devotional service. At the same time, then you come to a lecture. Gopi Gita is speaking about some random point about meditating on the Lord, and you're meditating on your service. At one point, meditate on Ramananda. On one point, one can say, okay, well, your service is okay to meditate upon, not on the microphone. On the other side, sometimes when the best answer I could find was when Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, I noticed the back. The back 10 years of marriage, No. Different. He takes photos for online darshan. So, so that there are these 3 balls that we juggle in our devotional life. One ball is the ball of our sadhana. The next is our personal development, and the third is our contribution to the mission. I was distracted by Lord Nishingadev's beauty in the garland. It's very colorful today on a Tuesday. Often it's more orange or pink. It's very nice. It's like a whole rainbow color. So we have these 3 balls that we are carrying. And often when you are in management, suddenly here I've seen there's too much to do with a lot on this contribution to the mission, which is amazing, or for Prabhupada. But what is neglected is sadhana. This part of Srimad Bhagavatam is a part of our daily sadhana, right? And what we take from it is what can carry us on the day that goes ahead of us. Just like attending Mangal Aarti or chanting our rounds in the morning if we don't have other service. These things carry us the rest of the day. Being a mama, there's many times now that instead of my brahmacharini times of chanting everything in the morning or as soon as I could, one chants later on in the day, and one feels how much more tougher it is, how much longer it takes, and also how the consciousness raises just before one has to go to bed. Yeah. So it's like this, and it's the same when we have our too many things going on. What to do, Amrita? I know it. You have your endless list, and just as you finished half of the first list, you've already made a second, third, and fourth list that you have to do. And when you say, "I'll give myself a break," is the day when someone knocks and tells you have an emergency. One has to then try their best to offer it to the Lord. There's some statements that say a service is a service only when at the beginning it's offered to the Lord, in between it's offered to the Lord, and at the end it's offered to the Lord. So always we have to connect it to the Lord. And I know the question comes, I have too much to do to offer, but this time we need to take to offer to the Lord. The amount of times I faced a problem as the treasurer, months, some problem. It's not like a service you finish. If you don't finish the service one day, it's waiting for you the next day. So, and then you I presented the problem to the Lord directly. Some may call it foolish. Luckily, nobody else was in the temple room when I showed that piece of administration that I had no clue how to complete. And the Lord found a solution. It was one that I gave a few times, but I was struggling for 6 months on some difficult banking problem, all in German when I spoke English. And then 6 months I struggled. Then I came to him and really prayed, really like, I can't do it, basically, I can't help. Within 1 week he sorted it out. That's amazing, That's amazing. So it is an obstacle in how we overcome it. It's, what's the word? You have what we can say an occupational hazard, or we all do here, in that when you live in a temple and you begin your process of bhakti yoga, a lot happens. Adrian, you've only been here a few days, or how long have you been here now? Fourth day, but I'm sure many things are probably processing, or many thoughts and experiences. Yeah, so much. Everything is new. And even when it's not new, everything is still new here, you know, because when you come, each time you see the Lord, it's a different experience. Every time we chant and we are opening ourselves up to the Lord, often some unexpected things come out, you know. Yeah, but I don't want to think about that now, you know. I want to think about the Lord. Out comes this, yeah, but I really should think about what I'm doing with my life and what's happening, and what about this project I thought about, and like this, or I'm trained in this, should I be doing, meditate on the Lord? Yeah, but what about me? What about me? Yeah, you know. So this is again about the three balls. I found that sometimes when there isn't a balance, I will be successful. When the balance is gone, then it's very difficult. Like personal development, this falls on for example, taking enough rest. You know, it's like just this idea. I don't know about you, but if you've tried to study, for example, when you're sleepy, or even reading, did you read when you're tired, and then you're like, wow, I read 2 pages, and then you say to yourself, oh, what did I read? Something about Krishna. You know, so and other times you read and you're like, wow, I read this point and it was this, and the Lord was meditating and this happened, and you know, many things come up. Another point that there was this laziness. What's interesting about this point was I realized, because I wouldn't say I'm a lazy person, because if you've known me, I can't sit still. You know, I have to try to calm down and sit still, you know, for a moment. I think a few of us may be like this, right? We're on the go. But this laziness, I realized, came in, or this sort of lack of endeavoring, when, I don't know, it was mixed with complacency. So you think, okay, yeah, I can do it, yeah, Govinda Dev, or I was told to do like this. So you go and you do like this sort of, they told me to clean the room, or I have to clean here, oh, I suppose I should clean it, nobody told me. But, you know, and so it's like a little bit like, you don't really clean it, you just sort of like push it all away and aside. So it's this sort of laziness I can identify with in one sense. But more than that, I'm a trained graphic designer. And, you know, out of that tiredness, and if someone says design something, you know, in a designer, you know, if I went into the details of how we designed, I don't know if people would call it, I don't know, basically you would measure things to the point of a 0.3 millimeter, you know, distance. This is how it is. And when you get into it, it's not even tedious. You start to enjoy even the spacing, and everything is like this, right? And then you have other points of design, you just slap it together. So I realized also when I got in the temple and too much to do, you know, when someone said, design something, it was more like, okay, here you go. And I'm like, don't tell anyone I did it, you know, I didn't do that, you know, because it was so quick. And there was a point where I thought, what's going on here? You know, I'm offering it to Krishna, but something is standing in the way. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you can't do more than you can do, but other times we set a rhythm for ourselves, right? You know, like, oh no, cooking, I can't do it, so I won't do it. Chant, can't, you know, can't. So it's like, yeah, I'm so tired, so what is it that stops us sometimes, I thought. And part of it is just to really look at our own lives and to make some small adjustments so that we can really focus and think of the Lord. And now I know I've talked about our distractions, but let's put it away. Nice, almost away, yeah? At least part of it. I used to live by this saying from Prabhupada, in order to be Krishna conscious, we must first be conscious. Because of this element sometimes that, you don't feel right, but we have a lot of positive talking is incredibly important. It should focus our lives, this idea of being gratitude and well. However, there is an element when sometimes something is just bugging us or something is not working for us, and we at least need to acknowledge it so that we can move on, rather than just under the carpet, right? So if for example, okay, I have a huge material desire, I need to do this, and you're just thinking, this is what I need to do, and I have to do this random service, and it belittles everything in our lives. So sometimes we have to pay some concentration so that we can then focus on our spiritual lives. Other things like, say right now, unfortunately my immune system is not good, and the kids go to school, catch some sickness, bring it to me, go back, catch another one, bring it to me, met the mother, oh yeah, your boy who was placed for mine, oh yeah, I have this mandolin syndrome, this this sort of tonsillitis, this, great, that's probably why I can hardly speak anymore. The kids don't get it so much. So what do you do in a situation where there's not so much you can do? Yeah, what can I say to Amrita? Will her workload ease up tomorrow? Probably not. What will it be? If you're studying, then you have to study. We make the best of our situation in what we have. We understand that we have some distractions, but we carry on nevertheless. And because it is Kartik, and this verse is specifically about meditating on the Lord within, whether it is Him standing, moving, lying down, or sitting. I wanted to, from the 10th canto, but it's in Krishna book, I wanted to read the pastime of Mother Yashoda to set our focus. So I have a little bit of music here to set the scene. I hope it's okay for everyone. If possible, please allow in this moment. Let's do this properly. Okay, so please everybody sit comfortably. If you're not comfortable, sit comfortably. Find a chair or this, an extra cushion. And it would be good, possibly if you close your eyes, but you're not obliged to, so that when you hear the story, as much as you can meditate on the Lord. The picture only comes out later on today. But if for a moment you can think of Mother Yashoda and Krishna's Kanai, a small infant boy. We try in this moment just to absorb ourselves in the Lord. Right now everything else can wait. It's only us for 8 minutes or so. Everything else will wait for these 8 minutes. Let us concentrate just on the story now of the Lord. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned butter, she sang the childhood pastimes of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her, and as she labored very hard, churning it with 2 hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth. And while Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and ran to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry, and his lips and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took the butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, "The child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place fearing punishment." After she sought him all over, she found her son Krishna sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, Mother Yashoda very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming toward him with a stick in her hand, and he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Mother Yashoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never approached even by the meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of a thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow Krishna as fast as possible. Her hair loosened and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smeared his hands over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear. Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of the child, Mother Yashoda thought, "If the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to me. What will happen to him?" Mother Yashoda then threw away her stick. In order to punish him, she thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside or outside of him, nor beginning or end. He is unlimited and all-pervading. Indeed, he is himself, the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found the rope she was using was too short by 2 inches. She gathered more ropes from the house and added to it, but still she found the same shortage. In this way she connected all the ropes available at home, but when the final knot was added, she saw that the rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna, appreciating the hard labor of his mother and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord always feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. And Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees. But the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or even the goddess of fortune. Please take a moment to just meditate on Mother Yashoda with her beloved Krishna. In this act of love and devotion between Krishna and his beloved mother, a dear servant and devotee of him. Some of you could meditate a little, you could see. I wanted to set the scene because now is Kartik, and this meditation on Damodar, on Krishna as a child, is very important during this time. And to aid our sweetness of this, I hope the meditation helped a little bit. We're quite good for timing. Does anybody have anything they want to share or add or... Hari! Get a microphone. Ask Hari.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice lecture. I just want to add a little bit that something that I heard from Indra Prabhu, it's a video online. He's also sharing this pastime of Mother Yashoda, and he said that Krishna he allowed her to bind him because she started asking to the neighbors to for more rope, and that's something that is not there, I think, in the
No.
Krishna book. I don't know where he took it from, but it's interesting because he said that she was engaged in devotional service and Sankirtan. That's the meaning of Sankirtan, engaging others into the devotional service.
Serving the Lord,
So
huh?
first she asked the neighbors for more rope, and then Krishna saw that she was asking others engaged, and then he allowed her to bind him.
That's very sweet. Yeah, very nice. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I never heard that actually, but yeah, it's very nice that he thought now I come in and help. One can only deepen one's meditation on the Lord. When I first used to hear the stories, I was like, oh, okay, nice story. It's very sweet. And I didn't take the time to really meditate on it, to go a little bit deeper into really imagining, like here with Mother Yashoda with her garland, and actually she's super tired and perspiring and running after him, her Krishna, she doesn't see Supreme Personality of the Lord, she sees her boy. But to really allow oneself to go deeper into this meditation brings this more and more alive to us, that more and more alive, how it says in the purport for this verse, that through the hearing, simply by listening to a reading, we can then very easily meditate on the Lord. Like, sometimes I wonder if I make it too complicated for myself, because there's so much to do, the service here or this and some parts in Krishna consciousness, the simple way of hearing and meditating. Hari must have heard that quite some time ago, but somehow it captured the imagination. Huh? Can also see Mother Yashoda, where's the rope? Okay, not enough rope, she's tried everything. Okay, where do you go? I will go maybe to Amrita, more rope, here you go, and then, Krishna comes and saves us in these moments. So in this way we can think often about the Lord. To me, of course, Kartik with two boys, they always are extra naughty during Kartik, and we go back and we tell them off. Like yesterday, we took them to the bedroom. We had to tell them off of how they were behaving like monkeys. But on the other side, you think, this pastime is also about naughty Krishna. He takes the butter from his mother that takes such a long time. If you ever try to churn, but it takes such a long time. And he's feeding, not his friends, he's feeding the monkeys. The monkeys he's feeding. He's already smashed up a pot. And then I don't know what Narahari would say if the boys came in and just smashed up her pots downstairs, and then just started to eat it and then feed it to any animal that they found along the way. It's like it's naughty, it's very naughty. So we tell them off, but we do it in a sort of humorful way, because somehow, you see, I also saw the other ones who can also sit very nicely. They're also running here and there. And the best way I can say, hopefully you're not too disturbed, but try to think and meditate on Lord Krishna in this way. How the naughty Krishna is running so fast away from his mama that she's tiring, her garland falls off, she's perspiring, it's not a simple naughty little thing, he pushes the limit, so to say. So we see this, and actually what he's doing, he's pushing the limits of love, of how this exchange between mother and child as devotees. So it was amazing. Nice. I think I end here in case anybody wants to say, but please, in quiet moments of the day, if something stresses you or something, just try to reflect back on this pastime, especially next week during Kartik, and give yourself a few moments just to absorb yourself. It may also help to go before you go to sleep, in the middle of the day, just as you engage and see. And remember, any act of devotional service in this time is, I think, counted by 1,000 times, multiplied by 1,000 our endeavors. So That's like great, even if you're feeling lazy, just a little bit, and it's multiplied, right? The way somebody who seems completely not lazy makes a comment like that. The opposite. So thank you very much, and wishing you the best spiritually charged day, and lots of blessings to overcome any obstacles, so that you can and we can all clearly meditate on the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Michelle would be proud of me if I finished before 9 o'clock. It says bang.